Hi, in this video, we're going to talk about how to use reference tracks in your mastering session. A reference track is a song that you use to refer to when you are mastering your own music to give you a guideline of what your master might sound like with regard to EQ, dynamics, and possibly even loudness. So first of all, I'm just going to set up a basic mastering session where we have one track that we master on and another track that has our reference track on. So starting a new project, I'm just going to select two audio tracks and I'm going to zoom in. And I'm going to call this track mastering. And I'm going to call this track reference. So to import my reference track, I click on my reference track header. I go to File, Import, Audio File, and then I locate the file that I want to use. This is one of Thomas George's songs that he mastered and released. I'm going to import that now. The added audio file contains tempo information. Don't import. I don't need that tempo information. I'm just going to zoom out. Now, as this is a fully mastered song, it's going to be at the loudness that it was mastered to. But that's not necessarily the loudness that we should be referring it to, because before we start work or early in the mastering process, we might not get that loud, and we might not ever get that loud because it might not be the right loudness for what we're working on. However, if we don't do anything about that, if we don't do anything about the difference in loudness between our reference track and our mastering track, then we're always going to feel a bit inadequate about what we're working on because it's always going to be a bit quieter. This is why it's really, really important that we turn our reference tracks down to our mastering level. If you haven't watched that video or you don't see yourself using the fixed monitoring method, then what I suggest you do is you take your reference track and you turn it down until the loudest parts are around -12 LUFS. And let me show you how to do that. So I'm just going to bring the playhead to what is likely the loudest part of the song, which is quite clearly around here. And on the stereo out bus, I'm going to load under metering, loudness meter. And now I'm just going to play back. Okay, so right now it's what some might say commercially loud enough, but it's probably too loud for us to start our mastering session with anyway. It was hovering around -9 or -10, sort of momentary and short-term LUFS. I'm going to turn it down by a few decibels just to bring it down to a more acceptable monitoring level. And to do that, I simply go to the track, load a gain plugin on the track, choose stereo, and turn it down from here. I could also just turn it down using the fader. Okay, that's a more acceptable level to work at. And now what I'm going to do is bring in the track that I'm going to master, and I might from there further compensate for any loudness difference when I'm referring back and forth between the reference track and the song that I'm working on. So I'm just going to close these for now and import the song to master. File import audio file. I locate the audio file that I want to master. I click open. And here we go. As you can see, there's still quite a significant loudness difference between the unmastered and the mastered, even though I've turned down the mastered. So I'm going to make some adjustments to the level of the unmastered, just to bring it up closer to our mastering level, and possibly even some further reduction on the reference track, just so that I can compare the two fairly. To do that, first of all, I mute one of them. So I'm going to mute the reference track first, and then I'm going to start playback on the unmastered track. I'm going to come over here because it looks like one of the louder parts. I'm going to create a cycle region to loop that. Fortunately, the louder part of this song, visually, I could be wrong, is roughly in line with the louder part of that song as well. A quick trick when you're using reference tracks in Logic Pro is when you've got one muted and you hold the Alt key or the Option key and you click on the unmuted track, it mutes that one and unmutes that one. So I'll do that again for this one. So hold Alt or Option, click on the unmuted mute button, and it switches over. So it makes it really easy for us to compare the tracks. Okay, so the master track is still quite a lot louder, but there's so much headroom in the unmastered track, enough headroom for me to start turning it up until they're both roughly at the same level. So I simply load a gain as the first plugin, go to utility, go to gain, stereo, and I'm going to turn that up until they're both roughly the same loudness to my ear. Great. So now they're actually roughly the same loudness. The good thing about that is I can just focus on balancing the EQ and referring to the reference track's EQ by ear when I'm working on the track that I'm mastering. It means that I won't feel insecure or I won't be fooled by the extra loudness of the master track simply because I've turned it down to my mastering level. Simple as that. So when you're using reference tracks, make sure that you turn them down to your mastering level if you have one, or just a respectable level like -16 or -14 LUFS, and you can simply measure that using Logic Pro's loudness meter. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.